Hello there. Fat guys are never supposed to wear striped shirts. Oh well, I'm gonna roll with it. I've always had a lifelong desire to, and I've succeeded at it, at essentially every facet, to simplify life and also to the unification of physics and metaphysics, which of course are always unified. That's like some sort of fools saying they're going to unify ice and water. It's like, well, they're already unified. Ice is a modality of water. It's obviously a low temperature modality. That's where water gets hard as a rock, right? It's like, I'm going to unify things. Well, in Mother Nature's mind, they're already unified. One aspect that I've never talked about in the many, countless thousands of videos that I've made on natural order is about voltage and amperage. Voltage is to the dielectric as amperage is to magnetism. The volume of every atom, of course an atom is an electrostatic dynamo. All atoms, of course, are compounds of hydrogen, obviously so. But the volume of the torus, here's a little fake apple, which of course is essentially shaped like a torus, even though it's an oblong torus, where a greater volume is up here. It's actually a proportionality of 1 to 5. Just like an egg, if you actually subdivide an egg, it's a proportionality of 1 to 5. There's this phase disparity between the two as the interlacing conjugate geometry between the magnetic and the dielectric interweaves itself. And kind of the most simple analogy to explain it to a young person or a person with a simple mind, because if you can't explain it simply, you obviously don't understand it. It's like talking about ice and water, talking about magnetism and dielectric. All these so-called brilliant scientists, self-confessed, are working on a grand unified theory. We're going to unify electricity and gravity and magnetism. Well, these things, of course, are already unified. It's human beings and their incredible ignorances and stupidities that don't see clearly that they can't unify what is already unified. You have to look at something in the simplicity via Occam's razor, because Mother Nature, once again, is just a hairy pit chick with dreadlocks and a hemp skirt and muddy feet. She's not complicated whatsoever. But thinking in terms of voltage and amperage, because voltage is to dielectricity, as amperage is to magnetism. Of course, amperage is the magnetomotive force. I don't know if you know this about electricity. And of course, high voltage, of course, can do serious damage, obviously so, but people can actually incur incredible amount of high voltage. What does you in is the amperage. This has been compared in electrical engineering schools of like high pressure out of a hose, which would be high voltage, but you actually take that same high pressure and you stick it in something as big as a drainage conduit, and then of course you have something that will literally knock you off your feet and do you harm. This magnetomotive force, but this is actually throughout all of nature and also to human consciousness, and this is the reason why, I mean, look at me. Yeah, I'm smart. I know I'm a fat guy. I sit behind the computer too much. I used to be really skinny. Some people say, oh my God, I saw your early videos. You're such great health and you're so skinny. I did a whole lot of exercise, hundreds of sit-ups every day. All I ate was salad, and I do love salad. However, all that roughage is not all that roughage doesn't agree with my, shall we say, Nordic digestive system. But I've actually felt really great recently eating a lot of raw meat. I don't actually eat it raw. I mean, cooking it, you know, buying raw meat and cooking it naturally, not with like any bad oils or whatnot. And I don't even pretend to be somebody talking about health, considering the fact that I'm quite fat, as is obviously the case. But the reason why we have to look at it now, like what has changed other than like technology and iPads and the fact that everybody's a wage slave, that everybody's just so stinking miserable. We're actually consuming all this dead material. We're drinking, so it's pure water. It's like, well, quantitatively it's pure water, the stuff that gets processed by the waste treatment facility. But every ounce of water that comes out of your tap and your faucet is recycled toilet water. So you have water that's qualitatively impure, and there's a lot of stuff that doesn't actually make its way out through the filtration. And these are the pills that we take, which of course pass through our system. And there's a lot of stuff, especially just think of the millions of different types of pills that people take, that actually accumulates in our tissues and our blood systems and our brains from drinking that water, which is quantitatively pure. It's like, well, it passed the filter. You know, it's been processed by a waste treatment facility. It's a million times recycled toilet water. Same thing with the food that we eat. Those tomatoes that will basically bounce like softballs. Like, well, you know, it's got the vine still on it, on the vine tomatoes. Yeah, but it's actually grown in this nutrient deficient filth, and it's fed with artificial chemical fertilizers. People say that, why aren't you farming this year? And admittedly, I'm too busy, but also too, I don't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to grow a couple $100 worth of vegetables. I've made an agreement with my neighbor who's a farmer, and I did this plenty last year, to buy holistic and natural grown tomatoes and corn and potatoes and watermelon off of them. And I don't know if you've done this, if you've been like even the farmers markets are bad because they're actually grown on acreage that just gets completely depleted of everything, and it gets sprayed with synthetic chemicals and fertilizer. And it's like, well, you know, that's the same stuff that they supply at the grocery store. Usually the case. Not always. I mean, there are some farmer markets in Florida where I've been, and I know a couple guys on Pine Island, you know, that grow stuff naturally. They don't deplete the land when they'll actually alternate the crops from year to year. But you actually have things that revitalize the body. Have you ever had like a truly like backyard grow? Most people, and this is really, really sad, and you know it's true, 100% undeniable. You've had a salad from the garbage you buy at the grocery store, yeah? And you've had a salad from the stuff grown in, you know, your grandmother's backyard or something equivalent to that. That revitalize, it's just like you're eating health. I've done that many times in life too. I wished I had access to that 24/7. I really do. I can move to a really remote place in Florida where it's warm all year round and have access to stuff like that, stuff that's not grown in mass crops. Usually those farmer markets are the leftovers of mass production fruits and veggies. And they basically taste, because it's the same stuff supplied at the grocery store. It's like you can get it cheap. It's generally good, but it's not great. That humanity is suffering this horrific psychosis, which is also too undeniable, and I cannot blame it completely upon everybody being buried behind their iPads or the computers. There we have this high amperage food which is produced to create volume, but it is electrostatically and dielectrically weak. Voltage is life. Voltage is wisdom. Voltage is revitalization. The electrostatics that discharge in the counter space, that we see lightning. It was a lightning storm today. Have you ever been out in a lightning storm? I'm not saying anybody should be out in a lightning storm and get struck, but you can actually feel the energy in your body. I've had that happen to me many countless times. I don't know if you've ever been there before. I know a lot of people will actually respond yes. But voltage is life. It is wisdom. It is revitalization. And all of us today, all the food we consume, everything that we take in, it's death. It's this high amperage, high volume, chemical fertilizers, pesticides out the wazoo. The stuff is farmed in nutrient deficient. This is the reason why farmers need fertilizer. They keep wrecking the same plot of land over and over and over and over and over and over again, nonstop, every year. Well, there's not enough nutrients in this soil. We go get 100,000 tons of synthetic fertilizer. We're going to spread it on this. We'll get a high crop yield. And sure enough, you know, you grow some big old freaking tomatoes, some big old watermelons. Big! Look at them fruits and veggies. They're huge. And you know and I know, some people actually have never experienced this, especially the people that live in a big city. They've basically never been outside of a big city. They eat that garbage, and they have no basis of comparison. I think most of you have, but I think a lot of you probably have not. You lived in a big city your whole life. You go to the grocery. What's wrong? I even go to the... I'm not going to name the grocery store. They call themselves Whole. And they sell the same garbage you get everywhere. Well, it's expensive. I got it at Whole. Bleep. You know what I'm talking about. Same trash. There's nothing holistic about that grocery store at all. It's all the same GMO processed Monsanto garbage. Growing up pretty poor, not middle class, but not like super poor, but pretty damn poor. You know, eating that trash, it used to be in a little white papered can. It's called Underwood Deviled Ham. It looks like cat food. It tastes like cat food. You smear that on some bread, stick that in my sandwich bag. My parents sent me off to school with that trash. I can tell you, I mean, I was miserable going to public school, miserable eating that trash. It's probably what wrecked my health, that and countless other things. Tons of stress put on me by these evil schools. The reason why society, a big reason, it's not just because of iPads and computers and everybody's like a computer zombie, is because we're stressed to hell. We eat trash, we consume trash, we watch trash, we eat trash. People should be listening to classical music. I don't care what music you listen to, actually, obviously so. Listen to classical music, eating stuff grown in somebody's backyard that hasn't been sprayed with Monsanto garbage. Getting back to voltage and amperage. People say, what's wrong? It's a big healthy tomato. It's still got the vine on it. It's trash. It should be called voltage food. I mean amperage food. Excuse me. The stuff that we drink and consume should be called amperage consumables. It's like pumping up a balloon. All these vegetables are pumped like balloons pumped up with air. By the way, the volume of a torus, because the torus is the geometry of magnetism. Yeah? It's also, too, the geometry of force and motion. Yeah? Pumping up a balloon. It's like, well, it's big and huge, like those big apples and the big stuff we get at the grocery store. Look at those big tomatoes that taste like golf balls, you know? You can, like, bounce them, too. A real tomato, if you, like, drop it, go splat everywhere. Those stupid tomatoes we get that have been genetically modified and sprayed with every chemical known to man and grown on nutrient-depleted grounds that get sown every year. They never, farmers back in the day would rotate their crops. This land is depleted. We can't use it anymore for like 2 to 3 years. They would do everything to put nutrients back in the ground. Spray it with chemicals, grow a cover crop. It's like eating a balloon. It's like, is a big fat apple or big fat tomato. Slice it up, stick it in your salad. And it tastes like you're eating styrofoam. You know it and I know it. That's high amperage food. This is the reason why there's so much polarity in the world, so much insanity in the world. Everything is infused with microplastics, nutrient-depleted food. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to retire because I don't have any money. I have to work my butt off every day. I really, really, really do. I was up to 5:30 in the morning last night working. And I read every comment. I do, even the nasty ones. Hatred, for example, is amperage. I could actually draw this parallel because voltage and amperage is nothing other than basically talking about different modalities of the hyperboloid / toroidal conjugate geometry of the universe. Hatred is amperage. The food that we consume is amperage. Amperage is death. Voltage is life. Things get revitalized by voltage. Things die by amperage. Hatred is amperage. Love is voltage. I'm not like, Captain Crystal Rubber Chakra, like, oh, I'm going to open up my 5th chakra. I'm not one of those people at all. But this is truth. This is the reason why, a huge reason why, it's easily over 60 to 70%, the reason why everybody today is nuts, polarized, illogical, they can't think straight, they're just wound up with stress, is that we're currently living in a world full of amperage and no voltage. We are like that ground that has been nutrient deprived. I don't think that, I know that. We ourselves are two-legged nutrient, the land that keeps getting grown on every year, keeps spraying it with pesticides and synthetic fertilizers. Grow, baby, grow! It's like, yeah, look at that, man. Got some big old tomatoes. Just like that balloon. It's full of air. It's big tomato. Tastes like styrofoam. Nutrient depleted garbage. This is true of water, whether it be live or dead. This is the reason for having structured water, not to mention free of microplastics. Where's my bottle of San Pellegrino over there? There we go. It's been at least in the Earth's aquifer system for no less than 60 years. You know, it's not recycled toilet water, which is everything that comes out of your tap and my tap. I've always known at a young age that stuff was evil. Shouldn't be drinking it. You know, good enough to clean your dishes with and wash your car with, and that's all it's really good for. Yeah? You shouldn't even be putting that stuff in your dog's bowl. Like, why is my pet so sick? It's like, oh, you feeding him with that recycled toilet water? Even your dog knows that's bad for him. I have heard this, too, from dog owners. They'll actually, because it's too expensive to feed your dog. I'm not feeding my dog mineral water. The people will feed their dog natural aquifer spring mineral water, and all of a sudden, within a couple days of changing their dog's water, dog's jumping around. It's like, what happened? I don't know. He's eating the same stuff he's always eating. The only thing I did is I changed his water. I've heard stories like that. I bet you have too. I've never had a pet dog, but I have heard those stories before. I totally believe those people, because those people never lie about their dogs. I just changed his water. All of a sudden, little Buster is so much happier. He's he's not sitting over in the corner, you know, moping, like, wah, wah, you know, he's chasing his tail. And what changed? Well, I started feeding Buster some of that mineral water. Voltage is life. Amperage is death. Amperage, by the way, is correspondent to magnetism. Voltage is correspondent to life, vitality, rejuvenation, and the dielectric. I could draw 1,000 more associations. Importantly, once again, hatred is amperage, and love is dielectric. Hatred is also, too, exactly like this fire. Force and motion. You're actually burning off energy. You stick a log on the fire. You constantly have to feed hatred. It has to be fed. It's the beast. This is the definition of evil. It constantly has to be fed. Love doesn't have to be fed. Love actually feeds you and other people. It is energy. Excuse me. It is revitalization. It is energy. It is life. It is like falling. Falling doesn't, of course, without the splat at the end, right? Falling is increase to inertia. It is the dielectric. It is the removal of force and motion, which has separated you out from that which is most dear. The opposite of expending force is the dielectric, i.e. love. So there's a huge amount of parallels, thousands of them, between voltage and the magnetomotive force that we call amperage. I've not made a video like this. I found it incredibly important to talk about. I hope you do too. Let me know if you have any questions. Send me any emails. You can always contact me or find the description information below in the description of this video and every other video. Lux e Veritas. Let's hope this year doesn't turn out to be worse than last year. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pike, but I've talked about that before in other videos. Have a lovely weekend. And for those of you in America, have a lovely Memorial Day weekend. I'd like to take a day off and go up to my cabin and breathe in the voltage. Nature, you know, look around for mushrooms maybe. It's good to be in nature. It revitalizes you. This is the reason why everybody's so sick and ill and depressed and stressed out. We're stuck breathing garbage, eating garbage, drinking garbage. And it's just horrible. That's the reason why humanity is so mad, nuts, crazy, insane, angry, on and on. Everything that's bad. You know it and I know it.